Okay, so I wanted to start with an icebreaker, and it was if you could be any cartoon character, what would it be and why? So, who wants to go first?
Y'all probably don't even know the same cartoon characters I do.
There's so many good ones. I'm trying to figure out. Why are you nominating me, Brandon? Okay. I gotta think.
Scooby Doo.
Oh, that's a good one.
That
That is
is
a
a good
good
one.
one. So,
Uh,
Brandon, are you calling Brock a cartoon character?
No, he's nominating me to answer.
Yes, I was nominating him to answer because I'm not aware of this icebreaker. I have no clue of any of these characters. I'm going to be
He's
honest.
he he's using me as a shield.
Exactly. You know, you're my bodyguard in a way.
Okay. I grew up with a lot of PBS kids. Uh, Fetch with Rough Ruffman would be a pretty good choice if y'all even know who that is. Um,
What did you say?
so there was this PBS kids show called Fetch with Rough Ruffman. Rough Ruffman was essentially this cartoon dog who ran a live action TV show. And it was a very cool show, but Ruff was also very narcissistic. However, it was still a good show. So I would say Ruff if I had to pick one off the top of my head.
Nice. Okay, anybody else?
It's so funny how everybody kind of, I mean, I guess you all still know who Mr. Krabs is, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Hopefully everybody knows
Okay.
Mr.
I
Krabs.
didn't
Yeah.
like Austin's just a little bit older
Yeah.
than some of you. And
I didn't grow
so
up with SpongeBob. My mom didn't let me watch SpongeBob, but I will say that I do know who the
There's
characters
a
are.
very fine line on who could and who couldn't.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch it, but you know what? I still did.
3:30 after the school bus every day.
Yep. I'd watch it before school.
The best.
Oh,
well,
I'd have to be
my
Plankton then, so
grandkids
I could be
watch
Austin's
Numbers.
arch nemesis.
There you go.
So in the show my grandkids watch, like Numbers are the cartoon characters. So I'm gonna go with one. I'm going
One.
with one
Uno.
for a cartoon character.
Roadrunner, yeah, yeah.
Wile E. Coyote.
Does anyone else want to share?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Did you say a cartoon character or like nominate a specific show? I think I might have misheard you.
I just said cartoon character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
So do you have one now, Brandon?
I'm scheming, but yeah, I think I'm gonna say Donald Duck. Um, I have a little
Oh,
different reason than Brock. Uh, I think Donald Duck is probably he's got anger issues, sure, but like to be fair, it's not his fault. According to Jingle, remember in all the old Disney cartoons. Plus, he has multiple jobs. Like, come on. But
Yeah,
yeah, that would be
you
my
gotta
favorite.
blame his issues on Chip and Dale, right?
Exactly. It's those darn squirrels. Okay.
Yes, yes.
That's always why things are going wrong for him. But yeah, I would say Donald Duck.
yeah, that's a good one. I
All
I
right.
was actually going to say Mickey Mouse, so yeah, because that was my
Oh,
favorite show.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
All right, I'm ready to give a serious answer.
Okay.
If I had to pick, has anyone heard? Austin may have heard of this show, Cyber Chase.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was my childhood. That was my entire childhood.
I would be Hacker.
That is actually a very, very great point. That is a very great point. That dude had too much authority.
So Ben, I guess I need a little mini tutorial.
Okay. Cyber Chase was a
Just
PBS
Google the theme
kids.
song.
Yeah, so the cyber it was a PBS kids show that ran from like early 2000s to like mid 2010s. It was essentially these three kids ended up jumping into this digital world that was essentially like a like replication of like the computer world in a sense,
Yeah,
but
so
they
it was
actually
like
got
early 2000s. Like
yeah.
it was a library computer that there was a group of friends, there's three of them, and they jumped in, and the goal was to protect the motherboard from the evil hacker who wanted to rule the
Yes. Oh
cyberspace.
my goodness, they're still
So they
running
used
it.
like gadgets and clues and puzzles and stuff, and you would solve like math mysteries and come up with different solutions, and so you would learn like pattern recognition and all these different STEM subjects before STEM was a thing.
Yes. The actual show itself isn't running anymore. I think they quit it in like 2016, 2017, but the actual websites and games are like still up.
The website looks like it's the perfect target for a hacker.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, that's the show. Sorry to sidetrack us, but
So is there anyone else that wants to share, or we can move on after?
I don't think we've heard from Tom or Esther.
Do you guys want to share?
I'm really old, but so you won't remember this character. His name was Scrooge McDuck, and he controlled the Duck Empire. Donald Duck and the Daisy Duck and all the ducklings. They all had to go to old Scrooge McDuck to get the approvals. So I'm identifying with him. I don't approve anything, but that's still identified with that character.
That's cool.
That's a good one, Tom. The only one I could remember was Popeye.
Popeye, yeah. Popeye the sailor, man. Ooh, ooh. Toot, toot. He ate spinach for his strength. He was a nutrition advisor.
That's
True.
right.
What's actually funny about that is that like raw chocolate, like from the plant chocolate, actually has more nutrition than spinach. Processed like yeah, like sugar chocolate, like milk chocolate, like has only like 20% raw chocolate, so it's like not even close to like the real thing. But like real, like 100% pure dark cocoa actually has more nutrition than spinach.
Oh wow.
Good to know.
Okay. If everyone's share, we could move on to the next thing, which is state updates. So I think or actually, could we decide someone to take notes and then facilitate the next meeting? So I think if it's after California, I think anyone from Iowa, Massachusetts, or any place.
If no one else wants to, I can. I'm from North Carolina, but I'll step up.
We did facilitate last meeting, but if you want to, yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think that works. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Sounds good.
So Brandon, that means you will take notes for this meeting. And so Shashareka, can you share a document with him to take notes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I will send it right.
Quick question, or go ahead.
Or no, you can go.
Quick question, Dr. Ray. Could you send me the screen recording you're doing right now to me later?
Yes, sir. Absolutely will.
It should also be on the team YouTube channel after.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, then.
I'm sending the link to you right now, but so for state updates, for California. So uh we've been having meetings within like the club in our school, and so I mean we're like getting members currently, and we're currently working on teaching some people the like software and how to use it, but that's pretty much it that we've done this month.
And so are you hoping to turn some of those folks into new recruits for your team?
Yes, we have one person that's interested in joining like through 4-H and everything, but so we've had one meeting this month, and then now we're currently on spring break, so I haven't really been able to be in contact with that person. But I think once we're like back in school, I'll be able to talk to them.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to send a link. So is it fine if I just send it in like the public chat?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as like editing permissions are like for only Brandon, like it should be fine. And he could, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so moving on, does anyone from Iowa want to share anything?
No updates.
Okay. What about Massachusetts?
I can give an update. We kind of have a mixed report. Unfortunately, the Modders had to step down, so they won't be joining us any longer, but we do have a meeting coming up with our Ignite participants on the 17th. And we have a mapping program coming up on the 20th to hopefully get some new recruits moving forward. So it doesn't look like we'll have a map, but I do have the Historical Society that's given us some information. They want us to work on a map, so if I can get it done in time, we might have one to send along, because I do have a volunteer with some background that's willing to work with some youth in that area and work towards something. So I'll keep you posted.
And so Kim, at our next meeting,
Yeah.
we are going to have the GIS Corps volunteers doing a little mapping class. So if you, even though your young people that might be working on the maps might not be part of the national team, they could come and do the training if they wanted to come and see that. That'd probably be good if we had a decent turnout for that.
Yeah. I'm hoping I have one that is doing potentially some GIS in their FFA class too, that's interested, that went to Ignite. So I'm hoping they will be able to join us. So.
Oh, perfect match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone from New York that wants to share?
No, no one from New York's on tonight.
Okay, and so then North Carolina.
Dr. A, do you want to go first or Brandon? I mean,
I'm gonna just hope you two cover it all.
All right, I'll go ahead and Fuquay's side of things. So we were supposed to have a meeting today. However, Fuquay's spring break actually just ended today. Like we have had like a week and a half long spring break, and that just ended today. And so in order to like help ease the students back into the routine of getting into school and stuff, I figured it'd be good if we canceled today's meeting, so that way the students could have a break, and that way they could just focus on working on their maps for the North Carolina GIS competition, which is the deadline is coming up soon for submission. So I also offered the club that if they ever wanted to talk about their maps with me in person or schedule some virtual office hours, I also offered that. So we'll just see what happens and see who submits. I'm still continuing to work on my project. I was able to get some done today. I actually find some really interesting analysis techniques. And then I'm trying to think anything else. Oh yeah. So as my actual presidency for my school club is coming to a close because we have 2-year term limits on our presidents. Over the summer after my term ends, I'm actually going to be making a sort of president's Bible, if you will, sort of like guide to future GIS club presidents. And this is not only going to apply to Fuquay, but is basically generic so that any GIS club president could be able to open this up and apply it, right? So I'm going to be making that over the summer. I've already started on a layout, and then hopefully by next school year, it'll be done. So If some of your GIS clubs want that, I can definitely send it out. Trying to think of anything else. We had our 4-H Arbor Day this past March, and that was good. Brandon can speak more from the Kellen Wyatt site side, but as for Beach Bluff County Park, we had successful planning, and I think we've got plenty of trees up. So I'll leave that off to Brandon then.
Yeah, thanks, Brock. Yeah, so as Brock was saying, for the 4-H Arbor Day, I'll go a little bit more into depth on that. Basically, it was an event we were planning in cooperation with like Wake County's Planning and Parks and Rec Department, and we were basically trying to find. Well, for context, Wake County's Planning Department came up with a study showing gaps in like the tree canopy across the county. So we saw that at GIS Day, and we had the idea for basically inviting 4-Hers across the county to go ahead and plant trees to fill in those gaps. So the two sites, one Brock mentioned, which was the Beach Bluff site that he was at, I'm obviously it went really well for them. I'm happy to report the same thing for Callum Wyatt. We planted 100 and something trees, really good turnout. We got to educate a lot of people. Used a lot of we had this GIS device that we got to show to the public and kind of how it's used in like real surveying. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say about 4-H Arbor Day. Brock, or can I ask, or Brock, may I guess, elaborate a bit on just like what Broaden's doing?
Yeah, sure. That's absolutely fine.
Great. So me and Uma, who's part of our GIS team over here, have been talking about for next year starting Broaden like GIS club. We've already got like about 8 members or 8 people that we found that are interested in the software. So we're planning on hopefully for next year in August, we'll go ahead and get that started.
And that reminds me, sorry, I didn't mean to
Go
cut
ahead.
you off, but
It's all right.
Fuquay High School, we had our curriculum fair this past month, and we actually had a really good turnout come to the IT Academy booth, and I was able to hand out, I think around 10 different GIS club flyers. So we should have about 10 or so new incoming freshmen for Fuquay that might be interested. Anyway, continue.
Well, yeah, thanks. And then I would like to, I guess, invite Dr. Ray regarding expanding our club. We had a somewhat of a discussion, but I'm not sure how well I interpreted, so I'll hand it off to him.
Well, actually, I was hoping you two maybe would take just a moment to share your maps from 4-H Arbor Day, and then Brandon, I missed exactly what you were asking me to update on.
Sure. I can basically stall right now while Brock pulls up his map. So at the Poe Health Center dinner regarding expanding or recruiting people for the 4-H GIS team over here in Wayne County. Do you want to provide an update on that, or was that
Sure. So
okay?
we hosted a relative caregiver. So what that means is young people who would be in foster care or who are instead residing with grandparents, aunts, uncles, folks like that, and their families. We had an event for those caregivers and the young people, and Brandon was one of our volunteers who worked the event for 4-H and promoted the club, and then also promoted to our LOL club, which is Liberation Out Loud, and I think we actually got a winner from that one. We've got somebody who's already trying to join the club. So we're excited about we're growing. We're growing here in Wake County.
Sorry,
All right,
I was
Brock.
muted. I was muted. Sorry. I went ahead and pulled up maps that me and the vice president of my club, Jonathan Stroop, made. So this is just kind of some history on Beach Bluff County Parks. So in Fuquay Arena, North Carolina, Beach Bluff County Park. Well, I guess it's not really Fuquay Arena. It's sort of east of Fuquay, south of Garner, North Carolina. In Wake County, was a completely undeveloped area. And then in 2019, Wake County agreed to turn it into the first open green space public park it has built in 12 years. And it's going to cost $20 million, and it covers 300 acres. And it's located in an interesting area. It's occupied by a lot of agricultural parcels surrounding it, but there's also a lot of housing development around it. So not much public green spaces in the area, which is why it was really smart of Wake County to put it here. And when we planted, we ended up planting around, say, 200-ish trees, I think, somewhere.
300.
Yeah, sorry, 300 trees, which was right dab in the middle of what we wanted our goal to be. And so by establishing this longleaf pine has originally been indigenous to eastern North Carolina, especially southern Wake County, which is more of its northern extent. But as of like before now, longleaf pine has basically been non-existent in Wake County due to housing development just tearing down longleaf pine from Wake County. So now we have essentially established a savanna that's helping it prosper. Side. So with the planning priorities, the Wake County Department of Teacher Planning identified some things about the different places we planted. It has a high social equity priority due to community vulnerability in the area, and a high asthma priority due to low carbon airborne filtering, and has a high mental health priority because of self-reported mental and physical health conditions that have just increased in that area. Its composite priority was very low, but overall, those three particularly stand out. And then Tree Keeper. Tree Keeper is a urban forestry planning GIS software made by Davy Tree. Yes, as in like the tree care company, Davy Tree made a urban tree assessment GIS software. And so looking at the economic benefit of Beach Bluff County Park by planning what we wanted to, like with what we could model with this, we would end up earning about $35,000 for planting 50 large crown trees, which is what longleaf pine is. So imagine that times 6, essentially, with looking at projected 8 years, which is generally how long longleaf pine takes to grow. So if you can imagine in 8 years, we'd be saving about this much times 6, which is absolutely ridiculous. And even with like a 6% mortality rate, which is absolutely incredible. That's all on my end.
All right, Brandon, you want to share your maps?
Sure. I'm using an iPad right now, so it's gonna be a little smaller, just letting everyone know. Here, screen. Yes. All right. Can everyone see okay?
Yep.
Okay. So this is my map. I had the Calamite site. I think Brock has already kind of gone pretty well into depth and was very thorough on what these maps were about. But so for my side specifically, this is Calamite. It is kind of like on the outskirts of, or well, it's formerly on the outskirts of Raleigh. Obviously our city has grown Raleigh has grown quite a lot since then. So we basically juxtapositioned a map of like what it looked like, the area looked like in 1971, and then what it looked like more recently in 08. And then we were able to kind of show how much like suburban development has happened around it. And then there's just an inset map that kind of like let basically people know that we're at the event, how where Calamite is in relation to the rest of Raleigh. And then this was kind of just talking about the planning priorities, like why this site was the one we chose. So there was a lot of priorities pretty much all around, and then social equity and the composite priority both made it very appealing choices for us. And then finally, as as Brock touched on, we did also use Streetkeeper for our analysis to figure out what the benefits were going to be for the county if we planted all these trees. So based on what we did that day, we were able to assume that 15,000 overall, or $15,000 in overall benefits, and that will be reflected in like air, stormwater, taking more carbon out of the air, and it was a win-win for the environment and for the people that attended. Then we got a lot of people very interested in the maps we had to offer. So let me see if I can go ahead and stop sharing. Okay, perfect. And I'll pass it off to Dr. Ray.
Yeah,
Excellent.
great. Thanks, both of you for those. And then we did have a third site that the planting date has not occurred yet. And Michael and Radhika worked on the maps for our Morrisville site. They have the map. Morrisville, the town of Morrisville has the maps, but we they're doing their own planting day because they had another event the day that we had scheduled. So we had a great time. Fun was had by all. Lots of trees planted.
And
And then
I got to take home a paper copy of my maps, which was really cool.
yeah, so Brock has the copies of his maps. I don't know if you got to keep yours, Brandon, but they did some really cool work at Brandon's site too, where they were using high precision GPS units to actually keep track of which particular species was being planted at exactly which spot. So they'll be able to track that over time with that extra data set. There was some drone flying at our site, but I'm telling you what, these little plugs were so tiny. I don't think. I mean, I guess it's high quality images, so maybe they can
Assuming
still.
is assuming it's one of those like half an inch like quality drones that I know like people like Mr. Jeremy have, like, then hopefully it'll show up and you can just zoom in far enough. But
Yeah, they were tiny. The trees were very tiny. But that's all. That's all. We probably have more from North Carolina, but that's enough for tonight.
Is
Okay.
Morrisville out by the airport?
It is out by the airport, yes, sir. So you'll
Okay.
have to swing by the town park
Dang
on your
right.
way in.
Friday night. Gonna be in your
Um,
zone.
cool. So next, is there anyone from North Dakota or South Carolina?
South Carolina's in the house.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to share?
Dr. Ray Thomas, did you get any call from Jennifer Bedrosian? She's with the Piedmont Triad Regional Council at Kernsville in the center of the state, Greensboro.
Yeah, I haven't heard from her. I do recognize that name.
I tried to introduce you both because I gave her all your contact information.
Okay,
And
yeah, I haven't heard from her.
she's the food systems coordinator at the Piedmont Triad Regional Council, supporting the Regional Food Council. And she's interested in updating their local food infrastructure map. And I told her about you, and I told her all the work you're doing and the GIS mapping, and she says, "Oh, that's great." And we had a
Excellent.
long talk,
We
like
need to get
20
some
minutes.
4-Hers engaged over there. Let's do it. She
Yeah.
hasn't given me a call yet, or at least she didn't leave a voicemail if she did call. Sometimes if I don't recognize the number, I'm afraid it's spam or something. So
Okay.
if she leaves me a voicemail, I'll give her a
I
call back.
can send you. I'll forward you all the email traffic we've done,
Okay, great. Thank
and
you.
that way you'll have a lot of information from her. She's interested in developing a proposal for the USDA RFSP grant. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
You don't mind being parts of proposals now.
That's a good thing. Yeah, that's pretty much the big news from here. Everything else is still not even in the planning stage. So I'm going to try to circle back with some of these contacts and see if there's been any movement.
Great. And if if it would be helpful to have a 4-H somebody, you know, to tap in when you're trying to reach out to your 4-H people there too, I'm happy to jump on a call and just kind of share our North Carolina experience and
Okay,
anything that I can be helpful with. I'd love to help you get some 4-Hers involved there in South Carolina.
super. Thank you,
Michael,
Thomas.
I heard from a lady by the name of Ellen Mays, and she serves on the Extension Advisory Committee in the county of South Carolina that's just next to Charlotte, North Carolina. I think it's Rock Hill. Is
Yeah,
that
Rock Hill, Fort
Rock
Mill.
Hill? She is a former friend. I hadn't heard from her in a dozen years. Suddenly out of the blue, and she's active in the Extension Advisory Committee and um, Rock Hill, and she was very interested in food security and also the history stuff that we've done in the past. I mean, I worked with her in the forage history mapping effort that Austin and the group worked together. Several of you were involved in developing the forage history map several years ago. And she was involved in that in South Carolina. So she was kind of had been out of service and was kind of coming back into being open to recommending things to her South Carolina 4-H programs in her county in Rock Hill. And Ellen Mays, and I'll send you her email address and be someone I think nice to talk with about
Oh,
how to
that's
tap
super.
into the
Thanks, Tom.
South Carolina 4-H team as well. Or,
Great. Thank you.
it's kind of like David coming back into the circle from Iowa. It's like kind of people come back, get ready to do something again, after taking a break for a while. That's good. It's good.
That's nice. So I think next would be Tennessee if there's any update.
I'll say I don't have any updates. Austin, do you have anything? All right, no updates from Tennessee.
Ben, any word from our Ty? We had any contact with him in recent days or weeks?
Yeah, last I heard from Ty, we did not have any submissions to the GIS contest that we had advertised. We were really hoping that Unicoi County would pull through and do a submission, but they didn't. So that's where we're at with that. So we won't have any youth this year, to my knowledge, to go to San Diego. So our plan is to do a rain check this year and one more year. We've said that for 2 3 years, but I really do believe this next year that they're hiring a STEM director and filling that position that they recently had a vacancy in. So the position's been advertised last I heard, and so they're working on getting it filled as soon as they can. But that's the person that's going to really take over the competition and keep the momentum going. And I, fully trust that Ty will help in encouraging that internally within 4-H. So he's always been a huge supporter of us, and so looking forward to what the next few months hold as we sit in a holding pattern.
Ben, I was just thinking we're always kind of stuck on our submission dates and so on. Maybe when that new STEM director gets appointed, maybe gets changed the dates. Start the admissions process over again for 2023, 24. guess the year went.
Most certainly. And there's an adjustment period, but just as I did with the last STEM director, I'd be happy to meet with them and sit down and go over everything with the GIS program that we've had in the past and everything that we're looking at doing and give them my support. But I did that for our last STEM director, and he was really on board with it until I think he realized how many other things there are associated with it. And I think he maybe just got a little bit buried, and I never did end up hearing back. I reached out a few times, and it was always, oh, I'll get it next week, or we're hoping to do something soon, and just I don't think they ever got around to it, but I'll most certainly make myself available to that person, and we'll see where we can go.
We'll give you a tenacity award, whatever that word means, right?
Exactly. Hey, that's a 50-cent word there.
Thank
Sounds
you.
like it's worth a whole lot, but it's only worth about 50 cents. Awesome. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks. So next we can move on to additional business. So are there any state fair updates?
Oh yeah. Hold on. So with the dashboard and the survey 123 as is, the survey 123 is having a weird error right now where when I try to submit the address portion where you put in the address so that Esri can geolocate where the fair is, for some reason that portion just keeps having a repeating loading screen and does not want to allow you to put anything in, which is ridiculous. And it's only been a recent thing. I haven't had a whole lot of time to see if I can do anything about it because spring break, and I was in DC an early spring break, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to work on that. However, as for the dashboard, I did make a couple of updates, which are going to need to be worked on as I try and sort out this issue. I'll show you real quick. Note that this is a work in progress. This is a work in progress.
They did do an update. When was it? Their Q1 or Q2 update. I wonder if that might have broke something.
Yeah, because I know Esri did some updates on ArcGIS Online system. But now what I've done is I've moved the actual state fair, the location and the starting months up. And then down below, I've actually added a portion for the state fair websites and also for the vendor application deadlines, which I'm going to fill in soon. The idea being that way we can see all this ones and track, okay, when do we need to apply? Because it looks like some of these are coming up pretty soon. And we might be too late for these, but we still have some hope for these. And we still need to look at the rest of them, and I can try and see if the Q1 stuff is messed with anything. I may need to create a new one and just like move the data over, which is a possibility. But I don't know, I have to play with it a little bit. Do y'all have any suggestions for what else we could add? If anything.
Did you show us the fields of the data that you're asking
yeah.
to fill in?
Yeah, sure. I'll pull up the survey. It's the same survey as before. I'll just show it again for. And I can show you the error I was talking about as well. So in terms of the actual design, you have your state fair, the address of your fair, name of the fair, and then you have information about the event, your fair website, starting date, ending date, and your email, and you can optionally put your phone number and your signature as well, just for verification. And then in terms of the actual data, it then turns that into a GIS data set. So you have those as your actual fields. And I'll show you what happened. I have put it into a mode where it will have a draft mode, so that way it can save, like if you haven't had a fully completed survey. So I tried putting in North Carolina earlier, and you'll see this is what I was talking about. It just keeps loading, and like even if I wait maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, it still doesn't clear that. And what's also weird is if you've put in a signature before, this screen goes black as well. So I think that there is something funky going up with Esri on there and with ArcGIS Online with the update, as you said. So I don't know. It's looking really weird right now. That's that.
Thomas, you think that's a Charlie Fitzpatrick assist question? That
Yeah,
need-
probably because there are two options for that question in the design, and one is address text only, and the other is address text and hold on, now it's slowing down on me here. And I just previewed it, like I changed it and previewed it, and it doesn't seem to help. The question uses your organization's locators, ArcGIS World Geocoding Service, which should work. Visible required question. I don't see an issue with the question. I think you're right, Brock. I think it may just be something temporarily that's not working on the back end. I would hold off on contacting Charlie. I would give it, till sometime tomorrow and see if anybody
Yeah.
reports there's an issue with the geocoder. And then
Tom, can somebody from your team contact tech support, or does that have to be you?
I can contact. I have a few volunteers that I've given call in permission, and I may or may not have capacity to do. I'm hoping somebody hoping somebody else will have the same problem and they'll call in. But worst case, I'll try to get some time to do that tomorrow.
Well, and the thing is when you contact tech support, they're going to ask you for your customer number and your subscription number and all of that. So if you have a volunteer that has that information and you've added them as a support contact, then they should be able to call in.
Yeah, they would be able to. Unfortunately, neither of them is on the call right now.
Okay.
But yes, if I get a chance, I can ask somebody to or do it myself tomorrow.
You're in the same boat that I am, Tom. I always have to make that decision on if I want to do it or not.
Yeah, it's not usually a really quick thing. So you kind of have to dedicate some time to it. But tech support is awesome. Esri tech support is ridiculous.
If you get the right time. It sounds like you've been lucky, Thomas. I've not been so lucky.
And all of my experiences have been just really great. It's not quick, but great, like resolutions. So I only have positive things to say. All right. Well, thanks for that update, Brock. I also have, and I'm thinking I would like just maybe a show of hands. How many of you are planning to go to the Esri Education Summit?
Planning, still figuring it out.
And Brandon, we can talk if that's about if that's an option for you.
Okay, yeah, that would sound great.
Oh yeah, okay. I see you put planning. All right, I didn't want to I know we haven't really talked about it, so I didn't want to shock you too
Yeah.
much with that. But yeah, that's great. I would love for you to come with us.
And I'm hoping we can get some other Fugue's Club members to come as well. Hopefully, we'll see.
Well, so Brock, are you saying you can come or cannot come?
It's probably a strong yes, but we're still figuring out the details. It may be a no, but I'm not sure yet because still figuring out scheduling for that week and whatnot. But hopefully, we'll be able to come to a good conclusion by May.
All right, and it does need to be early May. So
Yeah.
we do have, for those on the call, if you're still thinking about it, I hope you'll. And Ben, did you raise your hand?
Sorry, I was trying to get to the unmute button. No, I will
You did
not be
not.
able to
Okay.
attend.
Couldn't remember if you, and I was trying to jot down when I saw the raised hands going up, but now I don't have my glasses on, so I got to put them back on so I can't see what I
Uh,
wrote.
I'm
It
sorry.
really, y'all, while you can see things, just enjoy it. Like, it doesn't last forever.
If you find a
But
mysterious pot of gold somewhere, let me know. But otherwise, I'm not going to be able to make it this year, but hopefully in the future.
all right, thanks, Ben. So, yeah, right there I counted 6 because, yeah, including who I'm pretty sure is going. All right, so that's good. So the reason that's important to know is that we scored big time this year in that our hotel rooms are at the Marriott, which is where the education conference actually takes place. And so we'll be in the same building, and then we'll be right next door. Like, walk outside and walk inside, and you're in the convention center. And so we'll be right there in the heart of the action for all of that. So that's very exciting. However, we have to book our rooms by early May. And so I do have that date. I don't have it pulled up, but that means that, if we don't book them, we lose them. And so once they're gone, I guarantee you they are gone, gone. There won't be an option to get it back after that date. We got probably, I mean, somebody else can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we got the most in-demand rooms in San Diego that weekend. So we really are thankful that worked out. So all of that to say, um, if you're a youth that raised your hand, if you're from North Carolina, I already know who your adults are. But if you're not from North Carolina, let me know who your adults will be. And if you're planning on sharing a room with them, and I had intended to, and I'll probably still do it, send out just a little survey, uh, getting some basic information so that we can be planning. As you know, there's lots of paperwork involved because there's permissions out the wazoo. And so just have your parents or caregivers get ready to start signing stuff because they're gonna be signing a lot for 4-H and for Esri and for, I don't know, somebody else, I'm sure. So that's very exciting. It looks like by my count, we maybe have 8 to 10 going, which that's a pretty good showing. Um, and so we'll be excited about that. Any questions about the conference?
Could I also advertise this to my club? If
So let's not do that.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to open it up really beyond the national team. I
I
think
got
if we
you.
wanted to talk about if there's a club representative that we would like to nominate for the national team, that might be different way of looking at that.
That
In other
is that
words,
isn't that is in our bylaws, and generally that's supposed to be the president. So I was wondering if maybe like next year's president could even be a possibility, but we haven't voted on
we
that.
can
Yeah.
we can consider that. Wake County will have a limited number that we can actually take. So, because it's as Ben said, without the pot of gold, there's a cost. There's definitely a steep cost involved. So, but we can talk about that offline, Brock. The other
Thomas, any,
thing I wanted, go ahead, Tom.
Thomas, any chance you want to talk about the possibility of that visit to the supercomputer center as part of the field?
So, yeah, yes, we can definitely mention that. So there may be a slight adjustment in dates. As you know, we were granted, well, we were on, we were a partner on a grant that was awarded from USDA that I shared about last time. One of the other partners on that grant is a supercomputer center that's located at UC San Diego. And is that correct, Tom? Is it UC
Yes, I
San
believe
Diego?
that's right.
And so Tom Tate is reaching out and seeing if we could potentially score an opportunity to visit that center on the Friday prior, which would, of course, mean that we would need to arrive on Thursday in order to make sure that we've got the day set aside for that. So just kind of keep that still in the works. Um, the challenge will be the housing that first night. So again, there may be some additional permissions that'll be needed because we won't be able to stay at the Marriott Thursday night. We do not have that room block booked for that night. So we'll just kind of keep you in the loop on that, but know that that's a possibility that could be coming. The other thing I want to make sure everybody's aware of, and please, 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 please make every effort to be here at our May meeting. We are really excited to have a partnership again this year with GIS Corps. I actually tried to get our same volunteers from last year. GIS Corps tries to rotate their volunteers so that everybody who's lined up to be a volunteer gets a chance to volunteer. So we will not have Ms. Vernica and Ms. Alex again. We will have two new volunteers this year, but I've been assured that they will be fantastic. But at our May meeting, uh, will be basically a cartography map making tutorial. So as you all know, there's lots of data that can be visualized with GIS, but how you present your data is more of an art than just the science of it. And so they're going to come in and give some tips and tricks for how to make sure that you're presenting your data uh, in a way that really is helpful for the viewers, how to use some cartographic techniques to make it really look beautiful. And so we're really excited about that. Please make every effort to be here. I do think we can open next month's meeting to beyond the national team, especially if they're folks who are interested in submitting a map for the map gallery. Because that's the ultimate goal here is to get some maps into the map gallery. So please, again, make every effort to be here. We can't have 20 people, but 20 young people, but if we have, an extra 5 on top of our regular national leadership team folks, that would be fine. So make sure that if you've got anybody queued up, that they're aware of the time and date, and we're looking forward to a good time with them. I think that's all I have in terms of other business. unless there are any questions. Sounds like no questions.
Okay, I think that's everything for this meeting, I'm pretty sure. So, I can just end it with the pledge. So, I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world. Okay.
All right.
Fantastic. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you. Great job tonight.
Thank you.